Hello everyone, and welcome back to Serious Sam 4, where today we'll be playing the Halloween variant of Episode 1, Death from Above, on serious difficulty, getting all the secrets. I'm skipping all the cutscenes right now because they're more or less irrelevant to the Halloween update, and they have made tiny changes to the other levels as well, but this one is by far the most extensive. So picking up this pumpkin makes everything go dark. Suddenly crows are everywhere. They're invulnerable. There's jack-o'-lanterns, there's big old spiders on the wall in the distance, and all sorts of spooky Halloween horrors. When we walk forward far enough, it spawns these 3 enemies. And just like in the regular game, this is not a Halloween exclusive. If you wait a while with these, they get struck down by lightning. But right now, it's much more thematically appropriate. So that's nice. Sam taking all the credit for the lightning doing all the work. But there's all these skeletons and stuff and big old spiders. And there's a skeleton over there pointing at his head. And if you go to like certain areas, bats or other things will spawn. It just looks really nice. Also, the spiders are all physical. So if you jump just right, you can get out of bounds quite easily. And there's a couple places where you can do stuff like this, which I think is pretty neat. But well, for this run, we're not going to make too much use of it. I mean, there's going to be a couple Halloween strats, because of course, gotta make it a little bit Halloween-y as we're walking through these terrifying corridors. Ghosts appearing out of nowhere, screaming. Skeletons hanging from the ledges, and all sorts of things. Beheaded creatures trying to murder us. Secret rocket launchers. Hiding behind cupboards that you have to press a button to pick up for some reason. Probably because otherwise it wouldn't be very secret. It's random whether or not you get bats or like the ghost to appear in certain areas. Right now the game is feeling very ghost-like, and the crows all fly away whenever you get close to them. And there's all these skeletons in various poses and things, which I think is pretty cool. There's a couple of them in like the thinker pose as well, which I'm sure we'll be reaching in a second. I could run back for one, but I don't really feel like it. Also, I'm talking over all the dialogue, because all the dialogue has been unchanged for this update, so not really too relevant for what we're doing right here. But after killing these processed and beheaded rocketeers, I will just run back a little bit to this giant spider-infested area over here, if I don't get stuck on ledges. And this crow, pretty cool. Occasionally this crow will just fly into the wall there and then disappear after a while. This time we had a bunch of bats covering up my vision. But also, there's a little jumping puzzle over here when you get to this 1 health power-up. And it's a little tricky. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Occasionally there's these spooky sounds that play as well, like the stabby sound. And I think that's just a nice little detail. I thought it was like related to certain objects at first, but I think it just happens at random. But sometimes you'll be looking at a big old jack-o'-lantern like this, and it'll suddenly make like a big growling noise. And it can get pretty spooky, and I think that's just real neato. But moving along, past all these skeletons, there's the thinker skeleton sitting on his big old ledge. We're gonna move on. Just quickly go over here and grab the 25 secret armor. And there's also these other pumpkins, which do actually appear in other levels as well. And they can either give you 25 health, 25 armor, or spawn some skeletons. This time it's skeletons. It's actually random which one it does. And the skeletons are quite annoying. They deal a lot of damage. As you saw, I got hit by one and suddenly all my armor is gone and my health is at 47. So you do kind of need to be a lot super careful of it, because it can spawn like 1 to 5 skeletons and it gets pretty spooky. The shield works against your regular guns and stuff, but you can use your knife against them to just insta-kill them like that. And when they die, they explode into like all these pumpkins and other Halloween candy and stuff like that, which I think is pretty cool. And that's the same for all the other enemies as well. And I think there is a setting that you can turn off in the options so you don't get all this Halloween stuff. And I think, you know, if that's not what you feel like, then fair enough. But it's only gonna be here for like a week or something, so I'm happy to play through it right now. I will also say that this is like the 3rd attempt of me playing through level 1 because of those skeletons, because you can just get surrounded by them. And when you get surrounded, it's more or less an instant death if it's like a tight enough area, so you really gotta be careful of those things. When 5 skeletons spawn in an area like this, Just try getting away from that. It gets real spooky. But I do kind of want to pick up as many pumpkins as possible. So we're just going to try and hope I don't die here. 25 armor, pretty good. It's always a gamble, but that makes the game a lot more exciting as well. Crows and bats still spooking around. Very nice. This is also one of those pumpkins where if 5 skeletons spawn here, I just die, so... But if you manage to knife your way through it, then they all get stuck in the door, and they can't do anything. And you can see that if you shoot their shields, eventually the shields turn into a pumpkin. That's more just what the gibs look like, but... These skeletons, they're a force to be reckoned with. You really need to be careful of these things, but they cannot walk through tiny doorways, so that is their one weakness, and it's good to know these things. Because if you're not paying attention, they will kill you. I'm not even exaggerating, they are death. Also, they don't actually show up in the enemy list either when you kill them, unlike all the other enemies, so... You know, very seasonal, very festive enemies. They don't exist beyond this world. But God, I love this. I actually do genuinely love how they decorated this whole place. Every time you don't get armor or health, you know that there's skeletons waiting for you. And it does make the knife a lot more impressive as well, because it just goes straight through their shield, and that's just really nice. And God, it makes so many pumpkins when they die. Anyway, back to regular level shenaniganry. There's a belcher over there. Might as well use your rocket launcher to deal with it. Another nice thing about only doing this level means I can just sort of do whatever I want and use whatever resources I have. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to use up everything the moment I get it. Because it's just nice to make it as easy as possible on yourself. Occasionally these ghosts do catch me off guard though. It's very easy to get spooked because of it. But I am getting a lot of skeletons. Like, it's random whether or not you get skeletons or health or armor, and it really does add some variety to the level that way as well.
According to the briefing, we should
Shut up, Kenny. And it's just really neat. It's just, I just think it's really cool what they did with it. Plus, as I said before, there is some Halloween strats you can use during the fights as well, and you know, that can be very useful from time to time. Also, here's Kenny, who can help you get on top of this wall. Which is odd. Mostly because you can also just jump, and it's the same height. But you know, it's nice that Kenny's there to help you out if you feel like you need it. Look at one more thinking skeleton, and move on. 2, some Nars, and a Belcher who somehow didn't hit us, and a bunch of purple Rocketeers trying to destroy us, but failing miserably. And some red ones as well, but they're not even shooting, so what are they even trying to do? I think all of them are also terrified of the Halloween decorations that are available here, and that's why they're not shooting so much. Here is another pumpkin, which I'm actually going to wait to pick up, because I kind of want to have some safe area here. So I'm just going to run over here and spawn some Nars and some other enemies as well. You can kill 2 Nars with one slice of the knife there as well, which I think is really neat. Didn't realize that's a thing you could do, but apparently the knife is that wide. These enemies failed to notice us and just ran past. Good to pay attention to those things, because it can get easily overwhelming if you don't pay attention to stuff like that. So be careful when enemies are suddenly behind you. And I will get back to that pumpkin in a second, but the thing is, if skeletons spawn there, they have a tendency to hit instantly. And I don't like that very much, so I'd rather just try and get as much of the level done, but first, just to make sure I have some health available for this area as well. Before dealing with what is arguably the spookiest enemy of them all, which is potentially 5 skeletons. It could also be that nothing happens here because, again, it's random, but when something does happen, it can get bad. So, well, there we go. They all spawn right next to you and instantly try to swing. It is such an evil trap, but it works so well, because what if you get 25 armor instead, you know? It's definitely worthwhile to try. It's either 25 armor or you might die. Getting pretty lucky with these skeletons, though. Just really, really nice power. Like, when I was practicing this, it was occasionally skeletons, but more often than not, I was getting armor and stuff. So it makes sense that when you're recording stuff like this, it's skeletons all the way. But at least it makes the most out of a video perspective. Now, ordinarily, you would have to run all the way back through the tunnels, but fortunately, due to this pumpkin being here, you can actually just jump over this rock instead. For a second, I thought one of the birds didn't fly away, but I think it did in the end, so fair enough. And in the next fight, we're actually going to use some Halloween strategies. Because just like how we just jumped over that thing to jump over the ledge, you can actually get in other places as well to make one of the fights here a little bit easier. So after killing inevitably much more skeletons, maybe it's actually just tied to your amount of health, because I have like over 100 health now, so I guess I cannot get a health power-up anymore. And maybe it just replaces all the health power-ups with skeletons as well when that happens, because I'm seeing a lot of skeletons. Like, I'm just seeing way more skeletons than I did previously. And maybe my health was just lower. And I don't hate that theory. I haven't proven it in any way, but I don't hate it. So, you know what? Fair enough. Nice. So I'm gonna grab this shotgun over here. Kenny's gonna have some talks. Sam's gonna be perplexed. And one of the enemies is actually going to chase Kenny around, and I think that's just kind of funny. I don't know which one specifically it is, so I'm just gonna shoot all willy-nilly, but hopefully we can at least see an enemy chase Kenny. It seems that we already killed him. And most importantly, we just need to get Kenny to run to this door, because that is a trigger for something. For the dialogue to start playing, and during the dialogue there's enough time to just walk back. There we go. Because this dialogue is a little bit long, but after the dialogue is done, that's when the enemies are gonna spawn. Oh, there's actually a pumpkin over here as well. Great. Very good. That definitely only made things more difficult, probably. But I haven't seen skeletons yet, so fair enough. But after that dialogue is over, it spawns a bunch more enemies in that area. And hopefully I'm just not going to get overwhelmed by those skeletons that we inevitably spawned in just now. And I'm going to jump over here, over this ledge. And now we are where the enemies are spawning. Because, again, this is a little bit out of bounds. And it's just nice that, because we don't need to worry about ammo, because after this level the video ends and the series ends in terms of Halloween shenaniganry. I can just do stuff like this. And try to kill the Belchers that way. Another one spawns over there. You can actually just wait over there, which is quite effective as well, but I mean, this works just fine. But it does make this fight significantly easier. You do kind of need to get Kenny to run over there, because if you don't, then it has a tendency of just getting stuck here for quite a while. Before suddenly it just like, alright, well, you've waited long enough, go to the next sequence, I guess. And there was a skeleton I just spawned, which is pretty funny. But yeah, when it gets stuck in like the you are still in battle mode, it tends to just make it so you have to wait for a long time for the next sequence to happen. That's kind of annoying. But I think we should probably be okay right now. Provided we actually kill all the enemies. And if not, I'm just gonna jump cut to the next area, because it doesn't matter. It does look like... Okay, there we go. So in these cutscenes, you can occasionally see some Halloween decorations as well, so might as well play them out. The skeleton's still in the background there, and I think that's just nice. And you can very much kill these bulls with just one shot with a shotgun. That skeleton being there is actually pretty cool. I didn't think the bull would kill him like that, but fair enough. Thank you, bull, for killing that skeleton that took a surprisingly long amount of time to actually reach us, so fair enough, I guess. And with that, we can move on to the next area, as the doorman allows us to go past. Spooky creatures and spiders all over the place. Let us just quickly go over here and grab another secret stuff with a giant pumpkin looking over it. Love it. Big fan. And there's also an audio tape over there. I'm not going to listen to it. You get the idea. There's some story waiting for you on that blue thing. But I'm not about story, I'm about Halloween goodness. So from this point on, the birds are no longer scared of you. I guess they have accepted you for who you are now. And this can actually be a little annoying because they're effectively obstacles, because you can't walk through them. So you have to be at least a little bit careful for those enemies, but... I'm calling them enemies at this point. For those birds, but they're not the worst. I mean, they're just friends. They're just trying to have a good time. So you know what? Why stop them from having a good time? Jump on top of this to get a secret armor. Destroy that thing for a fun voice line by Sam. Look at the skeleton being spooky. It is a lot of skeletons in the same poses over and over as well, but you know, I think they made some creative use out of all the different poses that they had. So, you know what? Fair enough. Quickly run over here to grab secret number 7, I do believe. And onwards to the last area, where spooky music briefly plays, because randomly does that. I actually don't know if all of the music is random, or if it's just like in certain spots it happens, plus there's a random chance of it happening from time to time, because after you've killed everyone, you can just run around the level and it still will like play those sounds every now and then. So I would assume that it's not, it's kind of a combination of the two, I would wager, but fair enough. In this cutscene, in the background, you can just about see a giant spider on the rooftop, right behind that scrapjack over there. I think that's neat. This whole game becomes better once you add giant spiders to every single aspect of it. But this is the final battle. There's a bunch of scrapjacks and a bunch of soldiers. You just kind of gotta be careful. I guess I might as well use this Holoduke thing, because might actually make things a little bit easier. Occasionally the scrapjacks will be shooting the soldiers this way as well. And we can just sort of ignore everything and just shoot these scrapjacks instead, which are really the main dangerous part of this this fight. So getting that over with really makes life a lot easier. And with that, try not to get the birds shot by the evil soldiers, because the birds will actually just take these shots as well. They don't care. They're invulnerable. They're birds. Of course they can't get destroyed by laser. That's just the way it is. And after destroying all that, the door opens and we can leave. But there is still one secret remaining. Even though my health was below 100, still getting skeletons, so that's good. You do need to actually be careful of them at this point, because... oh my god, like look at that. Like what is that? Like those just spawned in me. Like that's just very rude. And I'm surprised that didn't just insta-kill me there. Because once those, if 2 of them had actually attacked, I think I would have died. So that was a fun little surprise there. I'm just only getting skeletons. This is ridiculous. And it's weird as well. Like sometimes they spawn like really far away from you, and then other times it's like, you know what? Just put them here. Just put them right in the middle of you. And you know what? Fair enough. Makes it more exciting when it's a little bit more random like that. But it does get quite spooky. Look at the spider. Look at the sign that says, secret project area, do not shoot. Try and run past this giant werebull. It is the Cow King, and at first he does actually run towards you. After that he just acts like a regular bull. So I think if I do this should probably make him just go after it, right? I'm actually not sure. I've never tried this. Ah, look at that. But the Cow King is not terrified of anything here. He will just run through everything. And with that hologram over there, you can just carefully shoot it. Hopefully you don't get him stuck inside an area like this. But now we can't pay attention to his little crown. So actually, this was all according to plan, and we're just ignoring that the sword has been stabbing me a whole bunch of times right now. Shooting him until he dies. Eventually drops a whole bunch of armor pellets in his location. 20 armor for your trouble. And with that, we can end this level and call it a day. I will actually skip the ending cutscene as well, because it's more or less the same as what it always is. And there is one more thing I kind of want to show off, so... although I guess with the bell ringing it is kind of a little bit more thematical, but all the stuff in this area doesn't really have that much Halloween going on, except that it's currently dark.
In the name of the Father.
So it is what it is.
In the name of the Son. In the name of the Holy Spirit.
And it is fun to see him do his job, I suppose, so there is that to consider.
Father Mikhail, I presume.
And he saved the day. Alright, so that is the end of Death from Above in the Halloween update. There is one more thing I want to show off, and for that we will need to restart the level, and I will do that just now. So, as I said before, the added physicality of the Halloween update, meaning you can actually jump on certain things, means that you can get to some places you're not ordinarily supposed to go, as I did with the fight on top of that ledge, which can lead to some fun stuff. I'm just quickly grabbing this rocket launcher just for funsies. But being able to jump on those places lets you explore stuff a little bit nicer, which lets you Just pay a little bit of a closer to look to certain things. Some of the giant spiders that you ordinarily only saw from a distance, you can now see from real up close. You can see this thing flying around from a little bit higher, but only if you walk through that tunnel, otherwise it hasn't spawned yet. But like this, you can actually take a little bit of a nice look at these spooky, scary spiders just hanging out all over the place. Kenny's there somehow as well. But another nice thing about jumping on top of this ledge is that the end of the level is pretty much right there. You can just walk to it. There's a couple of dead ends on this area as well, and or as far as I know, all of these walls are pretty solid, so I'm not gonna spend too much time trying to get through them. But it does get quite spooky as the land around you suddenly disappears. There's these areas over here, which again, weird little dead ends, but outside of the presence of Kenny, which is surprising given that I don't know how he got on top of that spider and jumped over it. There's not that much going on. Big open area. I believe if you walk somewhere in that direction roughly, you get to the area of the first cutscene. So if you want to see what that looks like, you can go there, but there's not really that much going on, so I'm not going to bother. But seeing this thing from up close is pretty cool as well, because normally during the level you can't really pay too much attention to it because it flies away sorta quickly. At least you're usually busy with stuff, so it loses your attention quite well. But when we take a little bit of an alternative route, you get to pay a little bit more attention to stuff. And over here, we've actually more or less reached the last area of the level, and the way you beat this level is by going through the gate, but right now we're on the other side of it, so here we go. So there's a sign here with a poster behind it, which was not immediately obvious until I started exploring it, shot this thing, and the poster was still there. That confused me. You cannot destroy this statue, that one's indestructible, but you can actually destroy the trees here, and it does give the ending cutscene a little bit of a different experience if you go in like slightly after the trees are destroyed, because suddenly there's all these trees just covering up the road. And I think that's just neat. But the poster behind the poster, that one caught me off guard the first time I saw it, and I think that's just neat. But that's it. That is an alternative way you can beat this level. I believe the minimum amount of kills you can beat this level with is 3, because I haven't found a way to actually skip killing those first 3 enemies. So, fair enough. Like, even if they kill by lightning, it still counts as 3 kills. So, there's, for as far as I know, no real way of beating this with 0 kills, unless you can somehow stop those enemies from spawning in. But that's that. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope y'all have a good Halloween, and I hope to see y'all next time. Bye-bye.